Ina ngarari Baiyungu, Juno jari Nina do Ngazala, Nyinggulu bandi. Wurai Ganyo jari, Nyuya jari Wabai Mangarari do. This country here was always known as a gathering place. A place, just rich in history, culture, heritage, beauty, and uniqueness. And this was always known as the traditional lands of the Baiyungu people. And the Ganyara name is Nyinggulu. It was always Nyinggulu.
Getting some sun. He's an olive python. Got him when he was 1. He was about 1 metre long, and he's 16 now, and he's just over 3 metres. He's a big boy. Bit of a rough nut as a kid, I reckon. My mum and dad always took us camping a lot, and I was kind of encouraged to get out and go riding on my bike and just, play outside and do things rather than being inside. It's always just where I've always felt comfortable. Did cycling for 4 years, did that fairly competitively, went overseas and raced. I made the decision, I think it was the end of 2012, that I wanted to finish up riding. I just had stopped enjoying it, but I still wanted to do, live the same sort of lifestyle I was living, training, travelling around racing, doing all that. I entered the Bulla Sky Run actually, about 6 months after I started running. And then, I went from there and it kind of just snowballed.
When Blake's unfit, we train together. Usually our runs are him chatting away, just being completely blasé and me trying to keep up with him and acting cool as if I'm not about to throw up my own heart. Living with Blake with such a big, driven personality is sometimes, I guess, chaotic, always exciting. There's always something to be looking forward to. There's always opportunity to get out for adventure when he's around. So probably just a very exciting lifestyle.
My dog's very different to Blake's dog. Blake's got, Walt, who's this giant bouncy thing that he can go running with. I've got Bosco. Bosco's a rescue pug. He's the cutest little dude. He just cruises around wherever I go. Keeps me company when I'm working at home and there's no one here. I'm your cliched pug dog owner. I've got pug pyjamas, pug socks. I've got, pug shirts, pug coffee cups. So I'm one of those pug weirdos. Living in Sydney is a complete contrast to how I grew up. I've ended up living in the middle of Australia's biggest, busiest city. I do love it. It's super convenient in terms of lifestyle and with work and that, but as a trail runner, it's a challenge. It really is. All my running is done in and around the city, the back streets, the laneways of Redfern. You're dodging traffic, you're dodging pedestrians. But that's what I call urban trail running.
Anytime I speak to him on the phone, he's bringing up some new place in the middle of absolutely nowhere that I've never heard of, but there's apparently some magical 100-kilometre trail that we can go and run, even though there's no water or food for potentially 3 days and no medical access. It's a good idea anyway.
When I was talking to him and said, hey, I've got an idea, his first reaction is like, oh, here we go again, another one of his weird places he wants to go and run that's probably not achievable. But as soon as I said Ningaloo, he was kind of like, man, I'm in. So the first conversation with him around it wasn't so much around, do you want to do it? It was more around, when are we going to do it? All right, packing time. The most important thing for this trip is we've organised caravanners to do drop-offs of all our little stashes. All our gear, so we don't have to run with much, but we also don't need a support crew out there, which is pretty cool. Number one thing though, bulk soft flasks. We've got to stash about 40 litres of water all around our route, so it's going to be a lot of fun carting that around.
All Baiyungu people, we belong to the Emu spirit dreaming. We're the Kajalwu, Malan May, Emu dreaming people. We look up at night he still shows us signs of what's happening on country. Old people never ever told us we're the actual dreaming site, but we strongly believe it's Nyinggulu, Exmouth, Cape Range. Emus walk around everywhere there. Old fathers, they bring their chickens. We connect with them. I belong to him. He's our creator.
Western Australia as a whole has always been super fascinating to me. I've always been really interested in going there. I think it's kind of funny because we come away from these areas that are, coastal, mountainous, and then we go to areas like that and it seems really alien, but realistically it's what most of Australia's like. But we never really see it.
What we want to achieve out of doing this is we want to be able to say to people, here's a place you can go to that's really special. You can explore a lot of it on foot and potentially, it's a vehicle that might inspire people to be more aware of their impact on the environment, if not there, in their own backyard or other wild places.
Making a bit of film about it, it can kind of shed a bit of light on areas like that are really significant in a conservation aspect, and also that it's somewhere that's different, it's somewhere that's new. It kind of embodies what I think a lot of trail runners trying to get out of the sport, just go and see new areas and see new things and run in new places, and you get to see them in a much more close up than what you would if you were just driving past in the car and taking a photo on your iPhone.
We started the run in the dark. We kind of wanted to avoid the worst of the heat of the day, and also we were starting in town, so you kind of want to avoid any traffic.
Whoa, you see the prawn now. Let there be prawn.
But we also wanted to enjoy that whole changing light.
Beautiful.
It makes time move fast, but it also makes the time beautiful and spectacular, and in many ways the start of the run was the ugliest part, but because we ran through those early hours, it was awesome, it was beautiful.
Sunrise and sunset over those areas are they're second to none. Yeah, it's nothing like what we get here. We still get our own beautiful stuff around the mountains, but up there it's just a whole different kettle of fish. Like, the landscape's so different.
Sunrise day one. It's actually surprisingly cool.
It is. I'm expecting it to be scintillatingly hot, but it's quite nice at the moment.
And even with having a run on the side of the road, it's not too bad. No traffic at least.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Bit different to running around the streets of Sydney.
The mountains are bright. You sort of see some of the beaches sort of between Exmouth and the coastline of Western Australia there, and you sort of think, oh, there's nothing really that exciting, and then you go around the other side to where Ningaloo Reef is, and it just blows your mind.
When you reach the western side of the Cape, you see this incredible blue and the little bit of patches of darkness of where the reef are, and it's quite remarkable because you're at bands of white sand, and it's kind of that postcard scenery you see in advertising. It's amazing.
The whale sharks have a special meaning to us. They're our regular visitor. They visit Ningaloo every season, and for us that season is Nyarwa, springtime. The winter rain comes, dumps water into the ocean, creates all the tucker for everything. Old people give him the name Guyawari. They must have seen him when they could walk out to the reef before Ice Age. They must have saw him just floating past. He connects with us and we connect with him. We don't have to talk. We just connect spiritually.
It's like all the critters come out at night.
Absolutely. Beach is just littered with prints in the morning and then they all wash away and come back again at night.
Cool. And then it gets covered in human footprints.
Running on the beach, it's very beautiful, but I also hate running in sand because I feel like I develop a new injury or niggle after almost every time I run on it. But I was lucky enough, came out unscathed from the beach running.
Running on the beach it's awesome. I mean, it's murder on the Achilles, but one side you've got the ocean and you're constantly looking in there trying to see fish and marine life, which is, you know, it's awesome. There's this, you look to your right and you'll see like a little reef shark, or you'll see a turtle or stingrays. It's anywhere else, it's more draining than it is exciting because you're moving a lot slower than you want to be. But over there, it's incredibly rewarding. Right, it's hot and dry, but it's unreal.
Lots of wildlife, lots of sun, lots of wind, lots of fun.
A long straight road.
We've come into a section at Ningaloo Gorge, and it's just a little bit techie under feet. Very, very rocky. No real trail, although it is marked in places. But absolutely beautiful gorge, as Dave almost just broke his ankle. It's steep.
A nice change though from the flat and the road. It is any day.
Ningaloo Gorge was one of my favourite areas on the trip. You know, coming in off the road, thinking, oh yeah, you know, it's not going to be anything too special. And then when you actually get in there, and all of a sudden you've just got these sheer walls and, you know, rock wallabies running around. It's just really beautiful landscape. It was absolutely unreal. It was definitely one of my favourite spots that we went to on the trip. I really liked the aspect of it too, that had a bit more technical, sort of rocky single trail to hit, which was nice.
You'll notice I'll walk down this bit. Old man experience, young buck, runs off. Probably find him 50 metres up the trail with a broken ankle. Day done. Just gone past Yardie Creek and we overnight at 1K campground.
Hot, dry, desolate.
But beautiful. What was your highlight today?
What's my highlight today? Seeing black flanked rock wallabies, definite highlight, and the osprey nest.
For me, my highlight's finishing because I'm very thirsty.
In the 70s, Along this coastline, we see no one, no one. Now you go for a drive along the coastline, there's everyone, every man and their dog. Coral Bay was just a little town. And look at it today, grown, really grown. We're hearing of Ningaloo having a bleach. Never ever happened. And now we're hearing this sort of thing. We know why. It's the influx of people. It's important we educate our visitors to tell them how special this place is.
There's no real rush each morning. You don't necessarily have a huge amount of time pressure, so there's no reason you need to sort of rush out and stick to any strict schedule. So yeah, we'd sort of just cruise out of the tent, make a coffee, wake up, get geared up, try to get moving a little bit again before we sort of had a chat about the day ahead, made sure we got a bit of fuel in, and then just, yeah, got after it.
Yardy Creek's this big gorge. In the scheme of things, is, you know, it's not huge, but within that landscape it seems so much bigger because you come out of the long flat road that you travel on to get there. The gorge itself, it's that red rock, cliched outback scenery, really arid, full of life.
What'd you find, Blake?
Scorpion, eh? Little scorpion. Oh, off it goes. Yeah, well, look at him. 1, 2, 3. See the one out there? Then there's one a little bit closer. There's this one here.
Oh yeah, near my head shadow. Patting him. Look, I'm
right
patting him.
How you going, Dave?
Warming up. Starts out nice and cool, but warming up gradually. The forecast is pretty tame.
Yeah.
If you look at it, you know, in summer it's like 40 plus degrees. I can't complain if we get up towards 30. But,
A bit less wind today too,
yeah.
which makes it feel a lot warmer than when we had that northeasterly blowing yesterday.
Running across the heart of the Cape, I'd call it, through the middle there, it's tough. There's not much in the way of trails. There's a big expanse where you're navigating via line of sight and looking at your maps to work out where you're going. It's super hot, it's super dry, there's no water, you've got to be really well planned. You kind of got to really concentrate on what you're doing, because if you get it wrong, it's a long, hard way out.
So we've stopped for a minute, not so much for a break from the running, but for a break from the wind. The amazing thing is, all day today we've seen nothing living, just a couple of four-wheel drives, nothing living. It's like a testament to how bloody arid it is.
Running in those interior areas, it's pretty daunting, to be honest. But at the same time, the landscape, everything in there, the trails, it's like nowhere else that you're ever going to run, so it's super unique in that aspect.
The least enjoyable part of the whole thing was probably the lack of water and the abundance of wind. You know, the excessive amount of wind magnified the issue with we needed more water and constantly were thirsty and needed to consume way more than we had expected. So, you know, for me, that was probably the least rewarding element of it all, because you can't escape the wind, you just can't escape thirst, and they're both really oppressive when they're constant. The Nyinggulu, for someone who's seen it evolve over, you know, a couple of decades, for me the greatest threat to that environment are things that exist sort of outside the control of those that live there or are the stakeholders. It's, you know, the things that are going to grossly impact that environment are global warming, rising sea temperatures that are going to kill off the coral. It's the oil rigs, it's the gas, it's things like that exist offshore that this small community, you know, while they can fight to stop certain things, a lot of this stuff is so big that it needs outsiders to fight for it. It needs the people in Sydney and Melbourne, in the big cities. It needs mass movements to protect this reef.
There's been massive, drastic changes in the landscape, well, globally, you know. Well, we see it here in Australia, say, in the last few hundred years. You know, we've got intensive agriculture, we've got a growing population, and we've got just extreme pressures all around the globe on the environment. The way that we're sort of living our lives, it leads us to not really think about those aspects. We've kind of got everything handed to us, everything's super easy, so it's really easy to not think about where all these resources are actually coming from.
It's big picture stuff that needs to happen to protect the reef, and by shining a light on it in our tiny little way that we have by going there and creating a bit of content that a handful of people are going to see, hopefully that handful talk about it to other people, and that creates a massive ecosystem of people that suddenly are aware of this place. And it's the actions of the masses in cities making big decisions that are going to impact the environment over there, and that will protect and help save this reef for future generations like my kids and their kids.
For us traditional owners, we have concern. The impact on the land is causing a lot of stress on the country, and not only on the country, on the Dunarty too, the sea, ocean. We have a lot of concerns, and we want to protect and look after this country. It's special to us and special to our next generation. Our old people looked after this country, and now it's up to us.